Hey everyone, my name is Elle, and I am a detransitioner, but more than that, I'm a friend. Oh my gosh, I feel like it's been so long since I've talked about anything detransition related. I started my detransition almost 4 years ago. In the first 6 months that I was detransitioning, I made my first YouTube video. And so 3 years ago, I was making a lot of videos. And a lot of my preaching that I did back then was about time and how time heals. And I just have to say, that's, you know, time marches forward, and it's not always good. I just want to talk about, how hard it really is to detransition. It's fucking hard. I feel, increasingly like this is something that I'll probably just never be able to get over. I mean, obviously, I don't know what the future's going to be. Maybe next year I'll feel a lot better about things and there's my positivity coming in. But it hasn't been great. And I guess I just want to talk about some of the reasons why. The first one I'll start with is that my insecurities about the things that have happened with testosterone, those insecurities have never gone away. Even though my appearance has changed, even though I've somewhat been able to change my voice a little bit, I daily still have insecurities about the way that I sound, the way that I look, and what people are thinking about me. And that's just daily. That's just every day. I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy most of the past 3 years, and I still don't really know how to get over that. So I always feel like I need to have that conversation. Oh, by the way, the reason why I am the way that I am is because I transitioned as a teenager. I get that feeling that everybody thinks I'm a trans woman, and that's never gone away. Unless I get to the point with my voice where I feel confident, I don't think that's ever gonna go away. When I wanted to dress masculine as a woman after detransitioning, I would be afraid that I would come off as looking like a trans woman. I think about that all the time, especially when I meet masculine women, because I really think that if I had never transitioned, I would be a really masculine woman. When I first started detransitioning, I shaved all my body. I started wearing makeup, which I've never done before and will probably never do again now that I'm further down in my detransition. It's weird. I feel like I would be completely different if I had never transitioned. But I also just want to talk about mental illness, because that is so intimately tied with transgenderism, transitioning, being trans, being in the trans community, being, gender, whatever, is incredibly damaging to mental health for so many reasons. But the fact is, the majority of trans people have mental illness, pre-existing mental illness, and that's just not part of the conversation because it's offensive for some reason to acknowledge that. I have been dealing with such extreme mental illness, and it has been exacerbated so much by the fact that I transitioned. For the first year that I was detransitioning, I woke up every morning, and a lot of the times I would wake up crying. And that's something that I just didn't want to share because I thought, I can't have this message that it's so hard, because I need other people to realize that this is a viable path. I do not ever, no matter how sad I get, I am never going back on testosterone. And I have no desire to be a man anymore, which is very weird, right? Because I spent, 4 years thinking that I would spend the rest of my life as a man. I also just want to say, like, in regards to life as a man versus life as a woman, because now I have, 3 more years of experience as a woman than I did when I made that first video. I do get smiled at more by women. Men just kind of stare at me when I walk by them, even when I like smile at them. The majority just kind of go like, and I don't understand that. Apparently, smiling is like a sign of submission. Somebody on Twitter told me, so it must be true. I couldn't have told you that even when I was trans. So you learn something new every day. I do want to talk about like relationships with other women. I don't feel like I've been able to have an authentic female connection with a stranger. Well, like, there have been some. Like, when I've been at bars drinking, in the bathroom especially, that's a thing. And I have experienced that since detransitioning, which is nice. But a lot of those connections that I had, I realized, oh, this was built on a false assumption that I was not who I appeared to be. And that's so funny because that's something that I talked about in my Life as a Man versus Life as a Woman video, that I would have to explain to people, by the way, I'm not who I appear to be. I look like a man, but I'm actually female. And it's funny how life goes in circles, right? I mean, a lot of people assume that I'm female, but I think a lot of that is only because I present femininely, right? Like, my hair is this long. And if I had short hair, I'm sure I would get called sir every day. And that's the way it is, right? Like, if I had a normal sounding voice, I could dress how I want and be as masculine as I want, and people would still know that I'm female. I remember having that experience when I was a teenager trying to look like a boy. I would get called sir sometimes. Obviously, they thought I was like 12. But then as soon as I would talk, they would be like, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. And I, at the time, remember thinking that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And now I miss it. I just wonder if my external appearance will ever truly reflect who I am. And that's a really, really hard thing to come to terms with, especially when it comes to close relationships. I have eventually, usually pretty early on, sat down and had the conversation. I'm not trans. I'm a detransitioner. I used to be trans. I lived as a man for 4 years, and I took testosterone. And that's why I am the way that I am. And that's just a conversation that I think I'll probably always feel the need to have. I just think it's crazy that, this is happening to children. They don't get to experience, living just authentically without worrying about gender ever. They never get that, and they never will. As soon as they go down the path of medicalization, they will never have a normal life ever again. And that's just a fact. Protect trans kids. We need to get them the health care that they need. Trans kids need health care. And all these bigots and transphobes are trying to prevent these kids from living happy, healthy, normal lives. And they will never live a normal life, even if they pass as the other sex, because they will always have to have that conversation. Hey, I'm not what I appear to be. that will never go away, even if they get all the surgeries, because you can't change your sex. Even if they transition before they're even a teenager, they will have a lifetime of never feeling the full connections that they could have had if they had not been medicalized. The only people who can really relate to trans people is other trans people, because nobody else understands living a lie that you are a completely different sex than what you were born as. Nobody else can possibly relate to that. And that's why all these allies are like, you can do whatever you want. I can never understand. How did we get here? And the thing that's really crazy is that I feel like detransitioning is the same way for me. I can have friendships and like relationships with people who are kind of on the same wavelength, right? Who understand that this trans issue is way more fucked up than the mainstream makes it seem. I can't connect or have real strong relationships with people who are adamantly pro-trans kids and deeply woven into all of this gender nonsense, like non-binary, giving out their pronouns to everyone all the time. I can't have conversations with those people. Like, I can't talk to them knowing what I've been through. I've cut off family members because of this, and it's awful. But I can't stand people who don't see that this is a bigger issue. Like, this is affecting all of society right now. Parents can't interfere with the gender identity, gender surgeries, or hormones. Schools have to affirm, and some schools can't even tell the parents if the kid is identifying as something else at school. We're fucking up this generation. I hope that I'm not the only one who's been thinking about all of this lately. Feels like it's been coming up a lot more in the mainstream recently. Like, Elon Musk has been tweeting about it, Jordan Peterson, a lot, like Joe Rogan, some of the time Fox News has been talking about it, and obviously on the other side, like Dylan Mulvaney is being sponsored by all these companies for some reason, and all of these trans bills that are happening across America, like, it's becoming a bigger conversation, and in the process, it's really, like, stressful for people who are just trying to get away from it, I think. And I wish that it didn't affect me so much still, but it does. And I just hope more people are waking up every day to this nonsense, some batshit stuff that's happening. Yeah, I think that's all I really want to say right now. If you're interested in more hot takes, please follow my Twitter. It's at lpalmer1, and I post a lot of my deepest, darkest thoughts on there. So please, please check it out if you want. You don't have to. And please don't go over there and leave me hate comments saying, "You sound like my dad." Actually do that, because it's a fun throwback to one of my older videos. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video 2 years from now. Peace. Bye.